Hi guys, good day. Thank you for joining the English learning with me. Today I read a very interesting article from Sagru. How to gain mastery over the 5 elements. Yeah, it's talking about the 5 elements: the water, the fire, the air, the air, the akasha. It's really interesting and it's close to my Chinese traditional culture. Also, we have the similar concepts on these 5 elements. Also, some different. But anyway, let us go through the vocabulary and talk and read the article together. Okay, vocabulary: substantial, 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 substantial，重大的，价值巨大的 substantial。tremendous, tremendous, 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 tremendous，巨大的，极好的。molecular, molecular, molecular 分子 molecular 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 分子 molecular 分子 perceive 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 感知 nitrogen nitrogen oxygen nitrogen 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 oxygen nitrogen oxygen carbon dioxide carbon dioxide carbon dioxide carbon dioxide carbon dioxide personify 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 fiery run fiery run fiery run fiery run either 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 subtle 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 微妙的 either 以太这个词经常用到 either 我们在计算机网络面用以太网嘛 either either subtle subtle tendence 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 facilitate 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 促成促进 facilitate trigger 调整 trigger trigger mystical 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 神秘 mystical mystical 神秘 mystical 神秘 substantial substantial tremendous tremendous molecular 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 perceive perceive nitrogen nitrogen oxygen oxygen carbon dioxide carbon dioxide carbon dioxide personify personify fiery run either either subtle subtle tendence tendence facilitate 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 trick trick mystical mystical mystical. Okay, let's go through the article. How to gain mastery over the 5 elements. Number 1, water. Today, this is substantial scientific evidence to show that water has tremendous memory. If you just generate a thought looking at the water, the molecular structure of the water will change. If you touch it, it will change. So how you approach water is very important. S. Number 2. S. The S element is the basis that all the other elements build on and of our physicality. Though the element of S is part of physical matter around us too, it is best we start to perceive and understand it from the basis of our lives, because most people only really experience their own body and mind. Knowing and experiencing the element of S from within is part of the yogi process. Number 3 is air. In the yogi tradition, we refer to air as vayu, which means not just air as a mixture of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and other gases, but as a dimension of movement. Among the 5 elements, air is the most accessible and relatively the easiest element to gain reasonable mastery over. Hence, a larger number of yogi practices are structured around vayu or air. Number 4, fire. In Indian culture, the element of fire is personified as the Angi devil, a god with two faces who rides on a fiery ram. The two faces are symbolic representations of fire as a life giver and a life taker. Without the fire burning within us, there is no life. But if you do not take care, fire can out of control and consume everything. Number 5. Aksha. Do not mistake aksha for empty space. It is either. The word either is not quite accurate, but it is the closest translation. As is not a simply dimension of existence. Space is light, is color, and non-existence. It is Shiva, that which is not. Aksha is that which is. Okay, that is really interesting. Let us continue again. Repeat this article again. How to gain mastery over the 5 elements. Number 1, water. Today, this is substantial scientific evidence to show that water has tremendous memory. If you just generate a thought looking at the water, the molecular structure of the water will change. If you touch it, it will change. So how you approach water is very important. Number 2, S. The S element is the basis that all the other elements build on, and of our physicality. Though the element of S is part of physical matter around us too, it is best we start to perceive and understand it from the basis of our lives, because most people only really experience their own body and mind. Knowing and experiencing the element of S from within is part of the yogic process. Number 3, air. In the yogic tradition, we refer to air as vayu, which means not just air as a mixture of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and other gases, but as a dimension of movement. Among the 5 elements, air is the most accessible and relatively the easiest element to gain reasonable mastery over. Hence, a large number of yogic practices are structured around vayu or air. Number 4, fire. In Indian culture, the element of fire is personified as the Angi devil, a god with two faces who rides on a fiery ram. The two faces are symbolic representations of fire as the life giver and the life taker. Without the fire burning within us, there is no life. But if you do not take care, fire can out of control and consume everything. Number 5, aksha. Do not mistake aksha for empty space. It is either. The word either is not quite accurate, but it is the closest translation. It is not simply dimension of existence, spaces, color, or non-existence. It is Shiva, that which is not. Aksha is that which is. Okay, so in this place, we just explain the 5 elements more detail. So let's go through the article. How to gain mastery over the 5 elements. Number 1, the way of the Nagas. When one wants to gain mastery, one of the things that are common done is to expose yourself to the elements. What the spiritual movement of the past, like the Nagas did at the basic level for sadhana, is to expose themselves to the elements because they wanted the transaction to happen freely. Today, walking around naked in the world is not a possibility. Though in India it is still in practice, you will see thousands of them walking naked or not bothered about the social norms. But that is not a possibility for all of you. Question: is it possible to become more aware of this just by sitting in open space, like in a field or looking at horizon points, staring at the ocean or looking up at the sky or just spending some time in open spaces? Saguru: it could help, but the general tendency for most people when they are in open space is to cover and protect themselves. Considering the the variations in temperature and that one may experience in different places. At the same time, yes, it is a possibility, but it need not necessarily be. If you happen to sit out, you can make sure of that. Number 2, wear loose clothes. One simple thing that you can do is move to a looser level of clothing. You may not look sharply, but that is not no shape to you in the element escape. It is in constant transaction. To facilitate this, to be able to conscious of this, more important thing is that there's a little bit of space between your body and what you wear, that you are not very tight fitting clothes. This is one step that one can take. Number 3, pay attention to the breeze. If you pay attention, you will see that beyond this breeze, a whole lot of transaction is happening constantly across the body. If one pays enough attention to this transaction, then one will also slowly understand the nature and the composition of the elements within us, then enhancing one dimension or increasing the aperture in the system through appropriate practice becomes a possibility. If one knows that this is a transaction not by intellect but by attention, then how to trick the transaction in our favor is something we can do. Number 4, pay attention to food and water. The first thing is to take charge of the most obvious transactions. The most obvious transactions are breath, food, consumption of water, and the temperature of the body and the temperature outside. They are the most obvious transactions. Just pay a little more attention to those obvious transactions. It always amazes me how most people never ever notice breath, which is such an obvious transaction and it does not happen quietly. It moves the entire body. If you cannot notice your breath, how to notice anything subtle than that? If you bring attention to how you eat, drink, breathe, and touch everything, you will see that experience of life will rise to a completely different level. Most human beings are not doing this simple thing. They are gulping down what they eat and drink, the breathe completely unconsciousness to touch anything and everything without knowing what they are touching or feeling it. People think that when you are breathing, you should not be doing anything else. You must just be breathing. The beauty of being human is that we have a cerebral capability of conducting complex activity within us and still be able to pay attention. It is like you are driving and you can still have a conversation with someone. So two levels of attention are happening just like this. You could be doing whatever you are doing while paying attention to the breath. Breath is one thing that is always happening. You can pay attention to that. You can also pay attention to the food that you eat and the water that you drink. The possibility of learning dimension of the beyond and dipping into the mystical nature of the existence is very much rooted in the elemental composition of who we are. Bring about a transformation is in this can do fantastic things to you. Okay, we're talking about the way of nagas, wear loose clothing, pay attention to the breath and food and water. That will help you to master the 5 elements. During reading the article, I'm also pay attention to my breath. If I make it, can control it and make me read the article more slowly and more comfortably. Okay, in my traditional culture, I was taught much about the 5 elements such as metal, wood, water, fire, and air. Now in India, the 5 elements are water, fire, air, earth, and aksha. Also, there are similar concepts about air and aksha. I'm not clear about the difference, but actually I'm so familiar with them, just like all the friend. Follow this teaching. I will pay attention on breath from now on, firstly. So yeah, it's very good experience and I learned a new thing from Sakura. It's basic but totally new to me. Also, I think it can help me to control my life, to make it more. I pay attention to my life, like more different high level dimension to my life. Okay, thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye bye.